Please join me in welcoming Cassandra Clare and Holly Black.
Holly and I are very excited to be here. We've never toured together in Canada before. We did tour together a couple of years ago when my first book, City of Bones, came out, and her third book, Ironside, came out. So we thought we'd start off telling a few of the scary stories that involve our researches. And when I was researching for the Mortal Instruments, it's set in New York City. And one of the things we did was there's a broken down smallpox hospital that's in the end of City of Bones that's on an island called Roosevelt Island, which is just off the coast of Manhattan. So we drive over there down to the south part of the island, and of course it's fenced off. And I'm like, well, you know, what does the fence mean? They're really not trying to discourage people from going in there. So we sneak through the fence, and we go creeping up to the old Gothic building, which is definitely falling down and in bad shape. And I start taking photos, and suddenly I see a police car coming. At which point, Holly sneaks away. She's like, I got a movie coming out, I can be part of your scandal. And the policeman comes up to me, and he's like, what are you doing? So I was like, I'm an author, and I'm researching this building. So, you know, I'm taking notes, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm going to put this building into a book. And so he looks kind of interested, and he's like, oh, are you writing like a history of New York City? And I was like, no, I'm writing a book about demons. He was like, get out of here.
Because I was researching for my new book, The Wicked Cat, which is about con artists. And in a scene in this book, one of the main character, Castle, is put in the trunk of a car. So I got my friend Kelly to lock me in the trunk of her car. So these are a few reasons why, if you're a writer, it's good to have a writing buddy, and it is good, in fact, to be here with a writing buddy.
So we're very happy to be here as the gist of our tale.
Yeah, we'll do some questions, and then if we have time, maybe we'll read a little.
Right.
Okay.
For Cassandra Clare, I have a couple of questions. How on earth did you come up with an amazing character like Magnus Bane?
It's nice to see the Magnus love. It's a bizarre story, but I have a friend named John, very, very, very tall man. I asked him if he would meet me in Times Square, and we were going to go dancing together, and he showed up completely covered in glitter, just like head to toe covered in glitter, with his hair spiked up in rainbow spikes. And I was like,
That's
okay,
amazing.
you know, this was normal for him, that's what it was. And I was like, okay, you know, let's go dancing, but first I want to go to Sbarro and pick up a Diet Coke. He was like, okay, so we go into Sbarro, he's wearing like leather hipster pants, a vest, he's covered in glitter, everybody in Sbarro's like, and we go up to the counter, and the woman behind the counter, she's like this sweet little tiny old lady, and she looks at him and she says, never in my life have I seen such a shining man. And so I thought, this is a really great character trait. You're someone who dresses crazy and looks crazy, but is actually underneath it all really smart and really formidable.
What is like your view on like angels and demons and God and all that? Like,
Careful,
does
you're
it
answering this in a church.
come into you?
I know.
I know, it's kind of...
As I did the research for the book, I discovered that almost all cultures have a myth of demons. Almost all cultures have a myth of angels or good spirits. And they all have sort of connections and things in common. So what I was trying to do was develop a mythology that could apply anywhere and everywhere, which is why I wanted the Shadowhunters not just to come from one particular place, but to be everywhere in the world.
How do you get over writer's block, or like when you have a good idea but you don't know what the heck is going to happen next block?
Never heard it called that. Well, I mean, writer's block is tough. Everybody sort of has a different thing that gets them out of it. For me, it's usually reading other books. Like, I'll put aside the thing that I'm working on for a while, and I'll try to read some other books that are in different genres that are not at all like whatever it is that I'm working on, to try to get me out of whatever the rut is.
I find that backtracking is really helpful. Like, a lot of times, if I get stuck, it's because I made a wrong turn somewhere in the book. You know, I made a choice that has brought me to a dead end, that there's a reason why my brain is telling me not to go on, and it's usually, for me at least, because I have to go back.
Out of all the characters that you've ever created, if you could be one for just one day, which one would you be?
And so being a character in a novel is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. I mean, because something terrible is about to happen. I mean, characters really get a raw deal.
Yeah, I'd want to be like a real minor character that didn't have a lot of bad stuff happen, like that waitress in the first book that makes out with Jace. That'd be good. And then, like, I would hopefully get some tips and go home.
How do you manage to like create such a lighthearted humor alongside such like heated drama without it becoming like a jumbled up mess? Is that just like personality, or like how do you focus on that? Because it's just so like perfectly put together.
Oh, well, thank you.
No problem.
That's sweet. I mean, you're right. You don't want to use too much humor.
Right.
Humor in a really dramatic scene will dispel the tension. But it can also undercut drama where you want it undercut, where you don't want things to slide over into melodrama, and you bring the humor in, and that'll undercut what's going on. And then, I think you need to think that in real life, in really dangerous situations, and in really dramatic situations, people laugh. I mean, people laugh even when things are really tragic, because that's the only way that you can deal with them.
No one's asking about Reuben yet. Well, just how did you come up with his whole character?
I think that I really love the idea of the reluctant kings, like for whom the very things that we think of as being good things are cast are reversed on them, and they wind up getting them through some terrible means. And he made one wrong choice, and for it he will forever pay.
How did you come up with the Seelie Court in your story?
The Seelie Court and the Unseelie Court are part of fairy mythology. I mean, I didn't come up with them. I stole them from mythology. And there are overlaps between my Unseelie Court and Holly's Seelie Court in her books.
And did the fairies in that story come from Holly's too, and the same areas?
The fairy queen in my book could be the fairy queen from Holly's book. We worked on that scene some together. We decided we wanted our worlds to overlap, so I couldn't create a fairy court that didn't touch on hers, because I had already written Val and Lewis into City of Bones.
Hi, this is for Cassandra. I was wondering if the characters from the Mortal Instruments are going to be reoccurring into the Infernal Devices series, especially Alec and Magnus. I really like them.
Well, Magnus is in it because Magnus is immortal, so he's lived for many years. He is in the Infernal Devices, but he's not with Alex, sadly. He actually is dating somebody else.
Jace, one of the things that sort of makes him as hot as he is that he's snarky and sarcastic and kind of a word you can't say in church. His relationship with Clary is they sort of go back and forth and make fun of each other and kind of are mean. And then at the end of City of Glass, kind of spoilers, but when they're together, hopefully forever and ever, please, he's so sweet to her, and he's just kind of loses his, like, I'm going to be mean to you. And do you think in the future that he'll continue being extra sweet, or do you think he'll gain some of that edge back and the snark and, because he's Jace, so...
I think that he and Clary will always have the kind of relationship, hopefully, where they can mock each other a little bit, like, and gently make fun of each other, because to me, a relationship in which they can't do that isn't a good relationship. I want them to be able to like have jokes and poke fun at each other and tease each other. I've been talking to my publisher about writing a book about Simon. And so I was like, well, obviously Simon's not going to stop talking to Clary anytime soon, so Jace and Claire are also in this book. What's going on with them? So I was bothering Holly to help me come up what was going on with them once they actually, were together, and not in a, creepy way.
Before we start the signing of the books, I would like to invite Holly and Cassie to come up and do something that is an old tradition at Kidsbooks, which is to sign our banner.
We need them.
He's sparkly.
Hello. How are you? It's okay. You can like everybody.
Sorry. That was quite a while. All right. Charlie, C-H-A-R-L-I-E. Would he eat thimble tag?